In today's session, we have discussed how family, peer group, schools inculcate values in children. Another very important part of education is life skills and also inclusion. First, we will discuss what are life skills. The term life skills have become an important concept in the discussions on learning and development and have been used by different organizations with different objectives. The World Health Organization 1993 has defined life skills as the abilities for adaptive and positive behavior that enable individuals to deal effectively with the demands and challenges of everyday life. So this is a definition given by the World Health Organization. Another definition is by the National Curriculum Framework 2000, which states that education needs to be intimately linked with the different life skills. It is through these skills that students can fight the challenges of drug addiction, violence, teenage pregnancy, AIDS, and many other health-related issues. The skills would also make students aware of issues such as consumer rights, questioning the quality of goods and services available to them, writing to the manufacturer and civic authorities about the qualities of goods and services and other administrative procedures, and also how to make life simple, hassle-free, and safe. There are certain core life skills such as dealing with stress, how to make quick decisions, creative thinking and generative thinking, interpersonal relationship, and empathy. These are the various important life skills according to National Curriculum Framework 2000, which one has to inculcate. Then there is another definition of life skills given by UNICEF in 2004. UNICEF in 2004 defines life skills as a behavior change or behavioral development approach designed to address a balance of three areas, which are knowledge, attitude, and skills. The UNICEF further defined life skills-based education as an interactive process of teaching and learning which enables learners to acquire knowledge and to develop attitudes and skills which support the adoption of healthy behaviors. So, life skills are skills which help you to become independent, which help you to deal with everyday issues. For example, learning how to go to the bank, how to open an account, how to deposit money, etc. Or also is also another form of life skill which is very important for your everyday activities. Then we also would talk about how life skills can be integrated with education. Despite the linking of education with life as put forth in the philosophies and recommendations of various education commissions policies, education, and particularly school education, plays a vital role in life skills development among individuals as it exposes them to various experiences in their formative years and has abundant potential to provide them with relevant simulated situations to learn. It is in the school years that children require formal education and are important development years in individuals' life. Realizing the significance of linking education with life, it is imperative that a beginning in integrating life skills with education has to be made. Some life skills are inherent in the structure of the school curriculum, but on account of, in most of the cases, a lot of weightage is given on testing of scholastic areas that education often is not linked with life skills, but is very important that education should be linked with life skills. Then let me explain how these life skills are important because it helps you to deal with stress. It helps you to cope with stress. It helps you to go for a quick decision making. It is very important that at times when you are in a situation of life and death, it is very important that decisions are made quickly. So one has to be very informed about how these life skills are inculcated in individuals. Then let me talk about other life skills other than what you inculcate in your daily lives. You have what is called your household related skills. For example, it includes skills like cooking, balanced diet, washing clothes, sweeping and cleaning, kitchen gardening, health and hygiene, mending, and also domestic maintenance like minor electrical repairing of taps, bicycle maintenance, painting, how to use your domestic appliances like cookers, etc., how to change your gas cylinders. These are life skills which is household related, and it is important that one is able to learn this life skill so that you are able to cope with everyday life activities. Then we have what is called life skills in accessing public services. I gave you an example of how you go to the bank and how you are able to open an account, how you are able to operate your ATM card, how your ATM machine, your debit card. It is very important that life skills is also learned through accessing public services. These skills, public services, in terms of accessing public services, these skills relate to knowing and understanding of accessing and operating the existing public services for day-to-day functioning. For example, it includes skills like going to the post office, going to the post office to post your letters, going to the post office to post your letters in terms of whether it is a register post or whether it is a money order or whether it is a speed post letter. So it is important to learn to have these life skills, and also how to book a ticket for railway services, your bus services, and also how to have access to health and sanitation services. These are important life skills that would help a person to become a much aware citizen. For example, if you go to the hospital, you should know where to stand in the queue, how to make your card, your patient card, which doctor you should go to corresponding to what disease that you are suffering. And also another life skills in terms of public services would be how you obey the traffic rules. You should be able to obey the traffic rules. You have to know the rules and regulation while crossing the road, how to cross the road, how to be a good pedestrian, etc. These are skills which a person should know when accessing public services. Then other life skills in the form of environmental awareness. We see a lot of environmental awareness program which is taking place in schools and educational institutions. This is very important because in our society today, we see a lot of pollution, we see a lot of cutting of trees, which is happening. So it is important that students, it is important that children, it is important that adults are made aware of the environmental issues. And when we talk about skills, life skills relating to environmental awareness, we would talk about the protection, conservation, and preservation of environment, understanding the close relationship between human beings, their activities, and their surroundings in which they live. The environmental related skills are how to protect the environment, identification of pollution hazards and polluting agents, conservation of resources, recycling of biodegradable materials for daily use, and also how to love and care for animals, and how to make use of eco-friendly techniques, and also how to be able to to manage disaster in terms of in times of famines, in times of earthquake and cyclone, how you are able to manage yourself, your family, your surrounding in terms of when during these times of disaster. It is important that certain life skills are learned. Then we have other life skills with regard to legal literacy. It is important that children are made aware about laws that govern human life. These laws are essential to combat conflicts arising out of continuing deep-seated inequalities of caste, class, religion, and above all, gender inequalities. It is important to build in our children enough understanding and commitment to human process through the content and process of school education. The key to all human developments lies in ensuring that everyone observe laws and regulation. So when you observe laws and regulation, when you are legally aware, then you can observe the rules and regulation which is on the road in terms of legal literacy, in terms of what the rules and regulation in your office states. All these are very important when we talk about legal literacy. So when life skills are important, we also see that there are certain techniques that integrate active learning skills. These life skills can be integrated when children are given exposure with direct phenomenon so that they are able to handle them, and life skills will naturally develop in children. Let me explain again. Transaction of life skills requires experiential learning. There are certain techniques that would integrate active learning skills. Children have to be exposed, or children have to be given exposure by direct encounter with the phenomenon to be able to handle them, and not merely making them think about the encounter. For example, when a child comes back from school, the parent who is at home, or both the parents or the grandparents who are at home, can increase the communication skills, or can increase creative thinking, or can increase problem solving by asking the child who has come back from school about what he or she has done in school, or what are the lessons that the teacher has taught, and what are the various homework that the child has. So this is another form where the parents, the grandparents, the caretaker who is at home can inculcate life skills. The child will be able to increase his or her communication skill, which is another important form of life skill. And also when the child talks about the various homework that the teacher has given in the school, then this is a way of problem solving. And also when the child is communicating and listening at the same time to the parents, it also increases the communication skill and listening skills of the child. So we have talked about life skills, which is important. Then we will also talk about a very important part of value education, which is inclusion. When we talk about inclusion, we talked about how in a diverse country like India, cultural pluralism is one of the moral fabric which binds societies, cultures, states, religion, cultural practice with each other. It helps to develop tolerance and patience with each other. We will now talk about the concept of meaning of inclusion. Inclusion as a topic is very important because India is a diverse country, and there are a lot of different castes, communities. There are a lot of issues with regard to class, gender, and disability perspective. So inclusion as a value system is very important. Inclusion in terms of how a child should be taught how to include others. Include others in terms of people who belong to different castes, people who belong to a class lower than him or her, and also how to be gender sensitive is very important, and also how a child treats people who are differently able can also be taught through values which should be inculcated through schools, through the parents, and through the surroundings. Let me talk briefly about what inclusion is. Inclusion is seen as a universal human right. The aim of inclusion is to embrace all people irrespective of caste, class, gender, and disability. It is about giving equal access and opportunities to all learners and getting rid of discrimination and intolerance, and thus facilitating removal of barriers. It affects all aspects of public life. Inclusion is also very relevant in our society. India, as we know, is a pluralistic society, and it is very diverse. And in terms of the ethnicity, in terms of languages, in terms of cultural ways of life, inclusion becomes pertinent, because if you do not tolerate each other's languages, if you do not if you do not accept others' caste, if you do not accept other who are differently able, then you will not live in a tolerant society. There will be a lot of aggressive behavior towards each other. There will be a lot of fighting. There will be a lot of problem existing in society. So we need to be we need to be responsible towards how we inculcate inclusion. Let me give you an example. One form of inclusion can be inculcated in children. In schools and in educational institution, it is very important that children should mingle with people who are of a lower class or of a lower caste, or if the child has a classmate who is differently able, the school teacher should insist, or should talk to the children in such a way, should talk to the children in the classroom in such a way that the child who is of a lower caste, or who is of a lower class, or who is differently able, should not feel different, should not feel discriminated. So it is very important that the teacher in the classroom is able to bring this very aspect of inclusion, which is a very important value which should be inculcated even in families, even in your neighbors, even within peer group. It is very important that one talks about inclusion, how to include people of different religion, of different castes, of people who are differently abled. This will help a person or the child who is learning to be a responsible citizen. And also, it is very important that when a child inculcates this very basic value of inclusion, then the seed of human rights movement is moving. This very seed of human rights movement is budding in the child's life. Then also the need of inclusion, like I said before, India is a pluralistic society, and we have various different people who are in an educational institution, who come from different background, be it from different religion, be it from a different state. Of, for example, people from the northeast coming to Delhi, people from the south coming to Delhi, or people coming from east, south, north, east. So it is very important that when you come together in a classroom, in an educational institution, there should not be any discrimination on the basis of how you look, on the basis of how you speak, on the basis of how much income your parents are earning, on the basis of how your parents' position is. It is very important that in the formal years of a child's life, especially in schools, it is important that teacher inculcate this value of inclusion. And it is not only the role of the teachers in schools, at home also, how how the parents teaches the children the value of inclusion is also very important. We also have a responsibility in terms of how we talk to our children, or how we behave in front of our children. And also, a lot of time we see that children implicitly, when you feel that children are not aware of how you behave, or are not aware of how you speak, in later years, what you speak explicitly, implicitly have been observed by the child. So it is very important that what you speak out, how you behave towards other, you should be very careful. And also, media also have a lot of responsibility in terms of spreading this value of inclusion. Media, because when we talk about media, mass media, television, newspaper, and other forms of media, your radio, your social media, these are the instruments which are very important, and children have access to these media. So media also has to be very responsible in terms of spreading ideas of inclusion. And media as a form is available in all your surroundings. It is available in the form of your television, which is in front of you. It is available in the form of your mobile, which is in your hand, and also newspapers, which every morning comes to your doorstep. So when we talk about inclusion, how to inculcate this value of inclusion, the role of the school, the role of educational institution, the role of the teacher, the role of parents, then the role of your peer group, the role of your neighbors is very important. And when we talk about inclusion would lead to what is called a dynamic work culture. And when you have a dynamic work culture, especially in offices, when you have this very idea of inclusion with your colleagues, then there would be a dynamic work culture. Your work will be very productive. When you inculcate the value of inclusion in schools within your peer group, then everyone will be tolerant towards each other. There will be a lot of productive work which will be taking place. And also, when you inculcate the value of inclusion, there would be a culture of peace. And peace, as we know, is the most desired value in society. And when we make this idea of inclusion an important value system which has to be inculcated, then there would be a lot of opportunities to cultivate the strengths to live in peace and harmony with each other. So when we talk about value education, which I have been discussing in today's session, value education is very pertinent, it is very important, and value education is something which can be learned through what you observe. It is something which can be learned by seeing how others behave towards you. And value education is very important because in today's society, the level of intolerance, the level of road rage, the level of social evils which are spreading at such a fast rate, the crime rate which is increasing day by day, all these issues of social evils can be tackled, can be curtailed, and can be reduced if we inculcate values, and also if you follow what is called value education in schools, in your surroundings.